Good morning. Welcome this morning to our coffee talk, to just a hangout time that we gather together to kind of bring you some information and some things going on around the church, but also just to hang out. We recognize that almost 2 years now into COVID, we are needing that sense of connection, and so we are connecting with you, even though it's virtually, but it's our joy to connect with you and just give you an insight into the strange relationship that sometimes we can have here with us as well too. And so welcome to just our hangout this morning. One of the things I wanted us to start with is thinking about where we're at in the book of Mark. Mm-hmm. We've started into that series Jeff is leading us through, and in this section Jesus is going to see John the Baptist. Mark has talked about John the Baptist, and now he's going to go see John the Baptist to get baptized. And then with that, there's like this going and all this stuff that kind of happens before Jesus' ministry. So it kind of got me thinking about like at your baptism, or maybe even a little bit later on, when you were getting that sense of like calling of like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Was there a person in your life for Jesus? Maybe it was, maybe it was his mom first, but maybe eventually it was John the Baptist who gave this kind of encouragement to say, okay, I think this is amazing, we should do, right? Like, obviously he's Jesus, so he doesn't need that. But was there somebody in your life, maybe in your teens or something like that, who said, hey, I think you could be a really good pastor or be in ministry, or I see God doing it? Was there a person in your life who said that to you, and who was it, and what was their relationship to you?
You want first dibs, or?
Well, so none of that happened at my baptism. So for me, they're very disconnected, if that makes sense, because I was 13 when I was baptized. So being baptized was primarily about just a personal commitment to demonstrating my commitment to following Jesus. It was disconnected from a call to ministry in pretty much every way, because no one at 13 was going, I bet one day. No, none of that. So most of that, came later. I remember one thing, and this is the most ridiculous thing. But for some reason, it, outside of parents kind of supporting, encouraging, whatnot, after my first year of Bible college, I was on a mission trip. The last leg of it had us down in Argentina. I was in Argentina. I knew no one else on the team. I got connected. It kind of was this a church in Abbotsford had invited our drama ministry to join them, partner with them, and go. And I ended up being the only one from the drama ministry that was interested, able, and that went. So I was kind of like it. And during our time down there, this someone who was I don't know, about my age, maybe a couple years older, on the team said to me one day, "You walk like a youth pastor." I went, "What?" It was like, I'm like, well, good thing I'm going to become one. I didn't know how to do it. And so I don't know why that has stuck with me now, many years later, 25 years later, but it has. And
Were you dressed like Tobey Maguire?
no.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to. Spider-Man? For me, Tobey Maguire will always be Spider-Man. But because that's the only Spider-Man movie I've seen. But I don't know.
Well, we'll have to watch how you walk now.
Right. Fair enough.
Yep.
You're going to analyze it.
So you were called because you walked like a youth pastor.
I just figured if I got the walk down,
that's the takeaway.
I'm going to walk the walk.
Well, like when an actor thinks about a person, that's often what they start with, is the walk, or a look, right?
So are you saying I'm just acting like a youth pastor? I was just kidding. I know that's not where you're going.
Preparing yourself to play this role.
I know how to take anything and twist it into a sermon.
It's a good question, Kevin, because for me, it was a youth pastor, the only youth pastor that I knew in high school at our church. He was hired on after I was like in maybe grade 11, grade 11 and 12, somewhere in there. And he really invested in me a lot. And I was just like, this is really cool. Like, he's, like I just really respected him and looked up to him and everything. And I started to wonder, I wonder if, but I didn't know what it meant to be called. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't until I followed through with my original plan, because I was like, I really need to be called, and I don't know what that means or how to know. And so I volunteered in youth and all that. It wasn't until I got married and my wife said, you do engineering, you love youth ministry, right? And that really got, have you ever thought about doing it, as a call, as a ministry, as a vocation? And that's when I started praying and, met with we were in a different location at that point. So I talked with the youth pastor that I worked with there and with the leadership team and everything, just to kind of confirm. But it started with a person. I mean, it was all of people, right? It started with a person, the youth pastor, and then it was the person closest to me, my wife, and then confirmed by others. But yeah. How about you?
For me, it was. I'm going to put Chris's thing to shame. I was actually in my teens, but it was slightly different. So I can actually count like 5, 6, 7 people who I actually remember speaking something like that to me, to even just say, I see great things for you, but like I actually see something like that in your future. I think it could be something where God will actually use you. From my grandpa, who actually was very much into music, and their whole family, and they would spend evenings around the piano, singing hymns and all kinds of, and to my parents, to family members, to a youth leader, all those people who kind of were very encouraging. One of our pastors at the time, I think, was probably very significant. But for me, a big one was there was just somebody who was actually doing a cross Canada tour, and there was just something that rocked me, in their concert to 80 people in our church, that just really spoke to me. And so, like, talking with him almost that whole weekend, because he was kind of around and just hanging out at our church and just having lots of conversations about that, and it just came very clear. But what became very clear, it didn't become clear, because at that point I was like, music, music, great, people, sure, pastoring, no. It wasn't until my 20s where I was like, because it was always like, music, yes, pastor, no, music, yes, pastor, no. And then into my 20s it was like, if I go down this route, I might end up as a pastor. So it became this thing where I had to kind of realize, this is kind of the track I'm on. You can still also be a deep part of ministry without necessarily being a pastor as well too. And I thought that's where I was headed. But yeah.
So a couple things. One, I didn't realize Stephen Curtis Chapman played concerts so small. So he came in. That was nice. That must have been a pretty intimate, exciting experience.
Jeff Kimber. Exactly. He was
no idea who that is.
He was from Australia. Him and his wife came to Canada, and they were just starting at Vancouver, heading on to the other side in their Winnebago, and it broke down every 3 hours.
So that's how you ended up with the concert?
I think,
hey, we're stuck.
No, I think that was kind of the plan. He was kind of like,
Okay.
anywhere God leads.
Yeah. So he was doing a concert and you went to one, or did you go with him?
No, he was at our church specifically. So it was a planned thing. It was just every few days or something we would hear about, it broke again. Oh, it broke again. Oh, we're not going to make it to the next concert. And, we'll just keep going, right? Like, it was just very, we'll just live by faith. It's okay. We'll all work. And it was just him and his wife.
Awesome.
going along and just, he would play along to tracks in his big keyboard. Anyways, that was just what I wanted us to talk about, because I think that sense of calling is important for us to consider, and as we look at Jesus stepping into ministry, even though I'm sure that there was a lot of ministry that happened, but like there's an interesting thing that happens in that baptism and temptation, and then not necessarily in Mark, but going into that wedding in Cana and all those things, right?
Well, and you made me think about just a couple things there. One is, we're talking about a call into vocational ministry, but our baptism, it's signifying the commitment we made to Jesus, which is our call. All of us are called to serve Jesus with our whole heart, whatever we do. So we happen to be called to pastor, which is a vocation, but there are people, called to be, an engineer. That wasn't my call, but I have friends that's their call, and they serve Jesus in that, right? And you serve Jesus, but our call, we're all called. Like, it's not just pastors, right? And then the other thing is the significance of everybody who's watching this, everybody part of the church. The impact you have on people younger is really important. Like you mentioned, all kinds of people in your church, grandparents. Looking back, like I mentioned 2 or 3 people, but looking back, there was other, like my mom said something that really, was like, made me think about it, and older people in the church that invested in me, like you that are further down the road than some, your words can be very powerful. It
does feel like an Oscars thank you speech. Like, I don't want to forget anybody, because I can think about all those people and the significant role that they had in that time of my life. So.
That's a good question.
So that's kind of one of our just thoughts as we move towards Sunday. We're continuing on in the book of Mark, and you can read ahead and then consider some of the things that God's word will be bringing us to this week. And then next week, there's a couple things happening. The first thing is on next Saturday night, January 29th, there is the Warriors Hockey Annual Faith Night. Chris, do you want to tell us more about that? If they haven't watched Coffee Talk last week.
If you didn't.
What are you doing?
What are you?
Seriously. I think the Lord is telling me you should go. No, I'm just kidding. Look, so it's the annual night where the Warriors chaplain, Don Richmond, tries to, he encourages the church communities to come together, enjoy a hockey game. I'm in the back of my head is that old joke, right? You went to see the fights and a game of hockey broke out. It's sort of like, well, let's go to pray and a game of hockey might break out. But no, we're going to go to the hockey game. We're going to sort of just enjoy some fellowship, really. Word is, you can cheer on your senior pastor, play boot hockey. And
you guys will be out there on the ice too, right?
That's the rumor.
Okay, good.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us are old and brittle, but there's that. So it's just a chance to kind of come together on a Saturday night, have some fun, cheer on the West Kelowna Warriors, and hang out as churches with others. And I know Don looks at it as a way to sort of let people know who aren't like church people that, you know what, you can go to church and be connected with that and still have fun. And that people of faith aren't these like weird goblins who hide out in the corner and just sort of sit there like all the time, but we can go and we can have a good time and we can it just be a part of a bigger part of our community. So that's that. So tickets are discounted if you buy them through the church, through us. So on Tuesday, noonish, maybe a little bit earlier, kind of as soon as their box office opens, we'll be ordering tickets as a group. They're $10 each. So you need to let us know, Tuesday morning, first thing at the latest, how many you need. You do have to, and this is just a provincial COVID mandate, you do have to be fully vaccinated if you're 12 and up in order to come. And so be mindful of that. Otherwise, if that's you and you want to come out, hang out with us, hang out with others, and watch some hockey, then it's a great night. So I'd love to have you be part of that.
So that's on Saturday night. And then the next night, Sunday night, is our AGM, our annual general meeting.
Significantly less hockey that night.
Significantly less hockey, but still just as important to get together, to challenge each other in good ways, to say who are we and where are we headed and what are we about. And yes, we take care of a budget because that's what we need to be planning on, but we also want to be talking about what's important to us and just focusing in on the people that are around us as well too, because each one of those numbers represents people. It represents ministry, and so
Absolutely.
we want that to be a time of just hang out. And so it'll be in person here at the church on Sunday night, but also you can Zoom from home if you would like. Now we will probably have also capacity limits for the in-person as well too. I don't think we will exceed that because it's quite high because
our number of members is lower than our.
But please know that if you're not a member, you can still attend, and actually it's quite encouraged, because then you can also see ways that this is done and ways that we actually can join together and work together and love one another through it, and that we don't have to fight, because sometimes I think people get that feeling about some AGMs. So it's a good chance to hang out, but if you're not able to make the in-person, know that there's a Zoom element as well too. It's not as fun. I will say that. It's not as fun as in person. And so that's that Sunday night, January 30th. But then a couple weeks later, we're moving through the church calendar into Ash Wednesday, which is in March.
March 2.
And so then we have something else happening. So Jeff's going to let us know about that.
Yeah, and the reason we're bringing it up now is because we're ordering the books called Seek God for the City. That's the prayer book that it goes from, it starts at Ash Wednesday and goes through Palm Sunday, I think, usually, and then there's a prayer every day that churches and believers all around, I think all around the world, pray for their specific cities. So we would pray those prayers for West Kelowna, knowing that in Kelowna there's people praying for their city, and there's people in San Francisco praying for their city, and we're all praying these prayers together. We would. Last year was my first year here doing that, and it was really great. It had it focused in on different people each day, focused in on different places each day around the world as well as your city. But then it had scriptural prayer led, prayers. Yeah. So.
And it's an excellent resource. Like we've seen a lot of devotionals and all kinds of stuff like that. This is not just a devotional. It's an excellent resource to focus you and to actually explain things well and fairly easy and straightforward. And it can be just a few minutes every day that you are walking through this, and it's something that we're all kind of getting around to all at the same time. It's like all of us are doing the same devotional for 40 days kind of thing. So
so we'll let you know like how much those books are. They're under $5, I think, and they're just a book that you can. But there sometimes is an app or a ebook
not sure
you
if
can
there's.
download.
Last year, I don't think there was an app. There was a digital copy of the book you could purchase,
right.
which I certainly went that route.
and it was more like a PDF as well too.
Right.
So you can talk to us fairly soon about ordering a book, or we can look into the app as well too, which I think was $1 or $2